Hello and welcome to day one of the Better Belly Bootcamp. I'm your host, Adrian Rama, and my goal is to encourage everyone who encounters me and my work to stop outsourcing your health and to start taking control and becoming empowered in your own healing. If you're coming in on the replay, hit hashtag replay. And for anything that resonates with you or is a gem of information, do hashtag gem in the comments. We'll get into my personal story in a little bit, but professionally, I'm an integrative and functional dietitian-nutritionist. This means that I look at clients from more of a holistic, comprehensive view. And our company, One Bite Wellness, is located in Columbus, Ohio, but we also serve people across the world, including in India. Okay, personally, back in the day, I had many traumatic and tribulations associated with my digestive system, which really manifested itself all over my body. Not only did I have debilitating stomach aches, but I craved sugar like a fiend. My face was red, and I had not just acne, but deep, painful cystic acne. I had recurrent infections and was constantly on rounds of antibiotics. Uh, I was miserable. My hormones were out of whack, and I had anxiety and depression. And despite being in my teens and early 20s, my energy was basically in the tank most of the time. I was also pretty much completely divorced from food. I was told, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're thin. You can eat whatever you want." And so I basically did, including things like Twix and an apple for lunch before running track. I also ate a lot of sugar, processed foods, pizza. I guess I thought that whatever I ate just kind of disappeared. Since I wasn't obviously growing limbs out of Doritos, I wasn't really very worried. Also, no one in my life ever really examined food. And in school, they didn't teach us anything about nutrition except for the food pyramid. This is a time for another story, but I remember around the ages of 9 or 10 wondering how I was going to get in 8 to 11 servings of bread a day in order to be quote unquote healthy. Then, of course, during my healing crisis, I faithfully went to all sorts of physicians, each in different specialties, who couldn't find anything functionally wrong with me. And again, I was on the antibiotic carousel that just would not stop. As many of you know, antibiotics mean against life. So not only was it destroying the bad bacteria, good thing, but it was destroying my good bacteria and allowing yeast to proliferate in my gut. Not a great situation. No bueno. But basically, I was mad, sick. I felt miserable, helpless, and frustrated. I mean, if doctors couldn't help me heal, I must be irrevocably broken or tragically something was wrong with me. And I wondered if it would be like this forever. Now, you can read more about my healing story in the blog. I'll post the link below if you're interested. But many of my clients have felt the same way. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they're frustrated with the whole process of not seeing results in the conventional healthcare system. The ancient Greek physician Hippocrates, also known as the father of medicine, has said, "Food, yeah, let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." But I think the other main one that's more relevant to today and the rest of our boot camp is that all disease begins in the gut, he said. Do you believe that? I think you will at the end of this boot camp. I've had a growing gratitude for my gut and the frontline mechanisms there to protect me and heal me. I also have felt a little bit of remorse for the way that I've treated it. I've thrown candy bars and pizzas and fried and junk foods just down the hatch, sometimes barely ever chewing my food, and oftentimes eating quickly and on the go. So I was just not helping my digestion at all. And that's before we even add stress to the equation. Fortunately, our bodies are amazing little laboratories. They try to keep us in balance, and our bodies love us. Even when we treat it poorly, our heart still beats, we keep on breathing, and our organs do the best they can to function, even when we ignore and mistreat our bodies with lack of sleep or perhaps poor eating habits. As I learned how important gut health was for the rest of me healing, I realized I wanted to help others solve not just their digestive issues, but all sorts of issues associated with a poorly functioning gut. And that's why I primarily work with people who have gut issues, because once gut health improves, they feel better, they lose weight rather effortlessly, They don't have heartburn or stomach aches or bloating anymore, and their energy and their lives improve. It's like magic, but it's not. It's food. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to cover the overview of the digestive system. We're not going to get super nitty gritty or anything, but you'll get a good, basically, college view. And some common issues that can arise in the digestive tract, too. Especially, we're going to be talking about the upper GI tract today. So, what is digestion? It's really a process of food being broken down into its basic components. This means taking the macronutrients such as fats, carbs, carbohydrates, protein, and reducing it into smaller bits that the body can get into the bloodstream and then share wherever it needs to go. So, whether you're eating a carrot or a cheesecake, the process of digestion will transform carbohydrates into glucose, fatty acids and fat into fatty acids, and protein into amino acids. The digestive system includes a number of places, including the mouth, the pharynx, the esophagus, the stomach. Then we also have the gallbladder, liver, pancreas, small intestine, and large intestine. It's about 30 feet long and it runs from mouth to anus. And this is where we break the food down, but also it needs to be absorbed after it's been digested. Now, the typical transit time, or how long it takes food to go from mouth to anus, can run between 24 and 72 hours, which is a big difference. How fast or how slow the food moves through the system depends on the food composition. Like if you've had a lot of fat in the meal or just a bunch of sugar, that moves a lot quicker. Also, emotions can affect our transit time, stress, fiber in the diet, and also hormones, medications, and illnesses. All of these affect transit time of the gut. Now, I just said that the digestive system is basically a long tube that just runs through our body, but it doesn't operate in a vacuum. In fact, the digestive system is really a whole body system. It works with the endocrine system, which manufactures and releases our hormones. It also works with the nervous system, which tells us when we're full and when we're hungry. The cardiovascular system, which helps move nutrients all throughout the body once they've been absorbed. And also the excretory system, where our waste products are excreted through urine, sweat, and then poo or feces. This might surprise you, but most people don't think that the immune system is involved in digestion, but it is. About 70% of our immune system is found in and around our digestive tract. The immune system has to look around for the good and bad agents, whether it's viruses or bacteria, and it will create reactions based upon what's going on in our bodies. So no matter how clean your food is, it's still kind of dirty because there's always bacteria trying to hitch a ride and get into our systems. With this information, doesn't it start to make sense that your hormone balance, especially with PMS, perimenopause, or thyroid disorder, your ability to fight off disease, your mood, including anxiety and depression, and more, all interact with and benefit from improved digestion? Makes sense, right? Of course, it's not just breaking down the food that's important, it's the quality of the food that we eat. So, we're going to talk about the journey of food through the digestive galaxy, or what I like to call inner space, and some also common complaints or issues. Where do you think digestion begins? Most people think it starts in the stomach, but actually, it begins in the mouth. The start of digestion begins when we see or smell food and we start salivating. Now, saliva is made mostly of water and about a small percentage of amylase, which is an enzyme that breaks down carbohydrates into sugar molecules. And that's why when you chew on a cracker for a while, it becomes sweeter. Saliva also helps us swallow our food more efficiently. The pharynx is next, and this is part of the digestive system and the respiratory system. So it allows air to go into the lungs and food to go down your esophagus. Its job is to close and open the breathing passageway so things don't go down the wrong way or you choke. And the esophagus is a long tube that brings the food down into your stomach. Now, food doesn't just fall in there, so there's something called peristalsis, which is wave-like motions to bring the food down into your stomach. This is where things get exciting because there's basically a dance party going on in your stomach. Everybody's mixing and mingling. The food is getting churned around. Hydrochloric acid, which is so acidic that it kills many of the bacteria and other bugs. It gets everything moving around, starts breaking things down. Also, pepsin, which helps break down those wound up protein molecules, gets released too. Oh, and that Of course, the protein could be from a big fat juicy steak. It could be from almonds. It could even be from tofu. A note here. Alcohol is actually absorbed through the stomach lining, so this explains why we get drunk faster when we don't have a lot of food in our stomachs. Also, what are some common issues with this upper part of the GI tract? Well, the biggest ones tend to be reports of heartburn or GERD and also peptic ulcers. The most common cause of peptic ulcers is the bacterium Helicobacter pylori, otherwise known as H. pylori. When people have peptic ulcers, usually what they'll need is an antibiotic to help resolve this. Heartburn is a little bit different, and it will typically result from the lower esophageal sphincter, also known as LES, when it doesn't fully close. It's supposed to close so that it prevents acid and stomach contents from coming back up our throat and out. It's also called reverse peristalsis when we throw up, basically. Anyway, so it's supposed to keep everything nice and tight so that food stays where it's supposed to go and not come back up our esophagus. The problem, of course, is when the lower esophageal sphincter is a little bit open, and we'll talk about what causes that. Now, in my work, heartburn can result from a number of factors, so I'm a little bit like a digestive detective here. So stress is involved, the types of food we eat, how much, how quickly we eat, and also if it's once in a while that you have a heartburn, it's probably not a big deal. The problem occurs when it's very often or even every day. This can cause damage to your esophagus and cause even esophageal cancer, essentially, because it's eroding the lining of the esophagus. Now, most of the heartburn is dietary related, but also obesity and pregnancy can also be big factors because there's pressure on the gut or the stomach. And also in pregnancy, the position of the stomach changes a little bit, which makes it easier for you to get heartburn. And you just have to wait for the baby to come out there. Other things that can open up the LES can be chocolate, caffeine, tea, peppermint and spearmint, alcohol, or even just eating too much food at once. Large portions, we'll say. For some people, it could be fats from fried foods. For others, it's tomato products, citrus or citrus juices, vinegars, or certain spices. This just shows you that the triggers are highly personal. Some people have no problem with any of these foods and others can't handle it at all. This is where the detective work comes in, and we can do elimination diets or food sensitivity diets. Now, let's go back to stress for a second. Stress plays a huge role. I get a lot of people who are very busy, including some doctors or executives. They are eating through their lunches, they're running around in high stress jobs, they're drinking a pot of coffee, shoving food down. And so, of course, stress plays a huge role here. Now, people tend to self-treat with antacids like Tums, or they'll get omeprazole, otherwise known as Prilosec. But these are often just treating the symptom and not getting to the cause. Also, some of these medications can actually weaken your bones, so it's not necessarily a good trade-off. As I mentioned before, this could also be related to food sensitivities. And one client in particular was having heartburn every day, but she also wanted to wean herself off of her medication to protect her bones. She also just did not want to have bad heartburn every day. And basically what we did was we changed up the way that she ate, and also we removed a few key foods that were making all the difference for her, essentially. She had issues with foods like tomato, corn, soybean products, and mint. In fact, I can show you some results here. Yeah, okay. So I'll try to show this to you pretty well. Oh, yeah. So tomato and the corn showing up over here, soybean, the red part down here. And then on the other page, mint was actually an issue for her. So I'll try to show you that here too. Another client, oddly enough, had caffeine and quinoa being the main issues for hers. And you'll see the coffee is pretty red down here, quinoa up there. So as you can see, it's different for different people. So we can't just give a one-size-fits-all answer for how do I reduce my heartburn symptoms. Again, our goal is to help your body heal and for you to become empowered in the process of your healing journey. So come back tomorrow at 1 p.m. We'll be discussing part 2 of your food's journey through the digestive galaxy, or what I like to call inner space. We'll talk about bloating, lactose intolerance, celiac disease, leaky gut syndrome, and gallbladder issues, and more. Now, for those of you who want to begin your healing journey this summer, not just to look better in a bikini or a swimsuit, but to actually feel better and operate at a higher level, I will include a link to the complimentary 20-minute discovery call where we'll basically go through your current health goals. We'll see how we'd work together, so just determine a good fit. And then also I'll share my approach, my process, and also my philosophy to healing, which some of that you'll learn through this whole process too. I'll look forward to speaking with you soon and helping you achieve a higher level of health. See you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. Take care.